Hello from beautiful Alaska. This is our very first Alaskan cruise, and even though we're only about 3 days in, there are already some things that have really surprised me. Hi there, I'm Ilana from the website lifewellcruise.com. Welcome back to my channel. Now, isn't the scenery just gorgeous? We're about an hour away from Juneau, Alaska right now. We do have an excursion planned, but what I did want to do is share my first impressions of our very first cruise to Alaska with you. We are on Holland America's Koningsdam, and I also wanted to answer some of the questions that you may have had about this cruise itinerary and this ship. Now, I do want to mention this is not a full review. At the end of this cruise, I will definitely do that. However, I know as I was planning my Alaska cruise, I was wondering about some of these things as well. And truthfully, some of the things that I've seen and experienced so far have surprised me. And this is going to be more of a casual, chatty video where I am going to answer a lot of the questions that have come up the most often. And of course, my impressions as well. And the things that were kind of unexpected. Now, something I do want to mention is that we are being hosted by Holland America on this cruise on a press trip. However, as always, all of my thoughts and opinions are my own. Now, before I get started, I did want to mention that if you like this video, if you find it helpful, informative, or enjoyable in any way, then please do give this video a big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. And please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Let's get started. Number one, what is the weather like? Now, this is a question that gets asked quite often, and the reality is it can change from week to week, and of course, depending on the month that you are going to Alaska on your cruise. I am here in early May, so our cruise started on May 6th, and it definitely is cool. As a matter of fact, this morning when I woke up, I was guessing that it was about maybe 50 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit, but apparently when we did look it up, it was a little bit lower than that. So I think maybe about 47 or so. It was definitely cool and crisp, but waking up to that scenery, it was more beautiful than I could have imagined. Now, that being said, our very first day at sea, we had beautiful sunshine, and I would think that the weather may have been close to about 60 degrees Fahrenheit, or at least in the high 50s. It was really very nice with the sunshine out, and most of the day I didn't need to wear a jacket. I was able to wear a sweatshirt and feel comfortable. Now, if you're going later in the season, there's a good chance that you're gonna have warmer weather, but like everybody says, layer your clothing. So that means wear a t-shirt and maybe even a long sleeve shirt if you want, and have a sweatshirt maybe with a zip so that you can take that off if you want to as well. Something that we found out is also having a sweatshirt with a hood could really be handy, especially if it does get a little bit drizzly. What was embarkation like from Vancouver? Now, I had heard before that embarking from Vancouver can be busy. It was very busy. Now, the Port of Vancouver, it is so well located with the Pan Pacific Hotel. That is where we stayed. Really, I highly recommend it. Great location. However, we had 3 ships that were in port that day, all embarking at the same time, and it definitely took probably a couple of hours before we boarded. So I wouldn't say it was difficult, but it definitely was long. Now, it's not the end of the world, but it just is something to be prepared for. Now, a question that a lot of people had, and I honestly wondered about this as well, is do people swim on an Alaskan cruise, or can you swim? So firstly, we are on the Koningsdam, and the really nice thing about this ship is they do have a covered pool. So for Caribbean itineraries, they would uncover the pool, and for an Alaskan itinerary, that pool stays covered. So that is a perfect spot to swim, to go in the hot tub, or even just to sit and have some food. There is some amazing pizza, by the way, burgers, hot dogs, so you could sit in that area. It is definitely a perfect spot to be in. Now, in addition to the covered pool, there's an outdoor pool as well, and that's in the aft of the ship. And surprisingly to me, there were people swimming. So I wasn't really surprised that people were in the hot tub yesterday, but to see that a few people were swimming, well, that really did surprise me. Now, since this is a cool weather cruise, you may have wondered, like I did, what is there to do during the day? I'm really used to more warm weather or even hot weather cruises where I spend a lot of time outdoors. And on an Alaskan cruise, I have to say, a lot of people do spend time outdoors. We even went walking at one point on the promenade deck, and a lot of people are doing that. But there are so many activities that are going on inside the cruise ship, I don't think anybody could be bored. So from trivia, and I think it was more than once, there was trivia, there was bingo, there were some art classes. That looked really fun. There were some really interesting talks, and I think in particular when you are going to Alaska, you're going to want to probably go to some of these talks. So there was a talk about wildlife, a talk about the whales in Alaska, really very interesting. Now, of course, there's also the casino, there was wine tasting, there were many people playing pickleball, and of course, people taking in the scenery, eating and drinking. Now, something that surprised me, and truthfully, I just didn't expect it to be this way, is how beautiful the scenery is. Now, of course, I expected Alaska to be beautiful, but what I didn't expect is that the scenery would be beautiful and picturesque from the time that we left Vancouver all the way through, well, right now we're in Juneau, and it just hasn't stopped. It is absolutely beautiful in the Inside Passage. And by the way, because the sun sets so late, like even though we're in May, the sun is setting way after 10 o'clock p.m. So we are right through the evening time able to see just beautiful scenery. We're waking up to incredible scenery, and it's changing along the way. Right now we're pretty close to the coast. It is just amazing. Oh, there's a seaplane. Just incredible. But I wasn't expecting it to be so beautiful and so ever changing. I would imagine that any time of the season that you come on an Alaskan cruise, you are going to love this. Now, I had a few questions about the cruise ship itself, so about Holland America Koningsdam. So one of the questions was, how does the ship look like? Was it refurbished? And yes, it was refurbished. It's an absolutely beautiful ship. So this is a mid-size ship. I believe it's just under 100,000 tons. It really is a very good size to be able to have enough things to do, but yet it's not a massively large ship, which I think is really nice for doing an itinerary like this. Now, another question about the ship is the ship dark? So no, the ship is not dark. And in particular, the cabins are not dark. They're actually quite light and bright. I really like it. The hallways are quite light as well. I would say when you go to the music walk area, and that really is a venue that comes alive at nighttime with Rolling Stone Rock Room, with Billboard on board, which is sort of like dueling pianos, really good. The BB King Blues Bar, where there will be an orange party later this week. That is on deck too, and I would say that is the only area that feels maybe a little bit darker, but it really does have a little bit of a mood. The dining room is nice and bright. Overall, a very bright, beautiful ship. Now, I'll share more about the entertainment in another video, but last night we saw the show called Move. The first night we saw the show called Origins, and so far, it has been great. Now, if you're thinking about taking an Alaska cruise on Holland America, you might be wondering about the demographic. And I think this does really surprise a lot of people, but there are quite a few families on board. Now, there definitely are not 1,000 kids or more the way you might see on some of those family-orientated cruise lines, but families are quite welcome. And we were maybe a little bit surprised to see in the month of May, there were some kids already. They were swimming in the pool, and there were some families that we met on board. And generally the demographic, though, I would say is probably between the ages of 50 and about 70, with of course some people a little bit younger and some people older, but there did seem to be a lot of things for everybody to do. So what are my impressions so far? Well, even though we are only 3 days into our 7-day Alaska cruise, and really a full review will come later, I am enjoying my Alaska cruise much more than I really thought I would. So that really has surprised me. It's to the point that I'm even thinking about, should I do an Alaskan cruise tour in the future? I've really enjoyed that. By the way, for anybody who has come up to me to say hello on this cruise ship, I've really enjoyed meeting you. And if you are on this cruise or even in a cruise port, please do say hello. I'm always happy to stop and chat. Now, I'd love to know if you have any questions. So whether it's about the Holland America Koningsdam, whether it's about the Alaska cruise, even if it's packing questions, even though that will come in another video, please do let me know in the comments below. Now, if you did enjoy this video, please do give it a big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. And please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Bye for now, and happy cruising.